Well, it looks like the rains have finally come here. Was it like October 21st? And we're finally getting wet out there, which is nice. But I've had plenty of time to do work out there, so now it's time to work on the inside. And now that it's getting cold, I need to put up insulation in here. But unfortunately, I'm fighting off a cold too myself, so not feeling like working too much. And I don't have enough insulation to do the whole house yet, but I did buy like 14 bags of this rock wool insulation. So I've just set up a few bats here and there, just when I felt like doing something. But yeah, so let's just start to fill in some of these gaps. For now, I think I have enough to do this back end of the house, on the walls anyway. I'm not going to do the ceiling yet, and unfortunately I have nothing in the floor, so it stays super cold. But we'll just work with some of the bags that I have back there and just kind of fill in this area a little bit. Like I said, it's still fighting off a cold, so I'm not really too into working much, but we'll put in a few of those so I can stay a little warmer. All right, here we go. Got to move some of my dressers and whatnot out of the way so I can throw these bats up there. And you can see the electrical down there, and I decided, I was like, okay, I'm gonna just cut the bats like just above the wiring that's going to go through the wall there, and then put a piece just below it, so it'll be easy for inspections and when I do have to move this to put more wiring through. But in the end, I just decided, okay, I'll put these top bats up because that's how long they are, and then I'll just cut the bottom ones to fit from there instead of breaking those up. And then, you know, these things aren't stapled in there, so you just pull them in and out pretty easily. So we just went with that route after that first couple there, which made more sense. But yep, just moving things out of the way, putting bats in there, and we got the doggers there supervising. Got the junior associate manager down below there, and the CEO, she's over there. But anyway, over here, and you can see the gap to my left there. That's going to be the back door section. And in a second here, I'll put in some of that styrofoam in there because it's just siding for now. And when I get the real door for back there, we'll cut it out, but we won't do that till next spring or summer. So just putting these bats in there, and just above there we go. There's the, it's just 1-inch foam panels, and I just cut a couple in there. And I think I put 2 layers in the bottom and just 1 on top. But it's pretty easy to put this rock wool stuff in there. It's really easy to cut with I'm just using a bread knife, serrated knife, and it cuts through it like butter. And then it just gets a little monotonous here when you're cutting smaller than 16 on center spaces, so you have to do a lot of cutting and fitting. And this stuff's pretty malleable, so you can kind of stuff it in spaces, kind of like cotton balls or whatever, although it's a little more itchier than cotton balls. Not as soft, but not as bad as fiberglass, that's for sure. And then here I'm putting 1/2-inch foam pieces in there because I bought a bunch of rock wool used off of, or not used, but well, sort of. Someone was going to make a tiny house, and then it didn't happen, so they ended up selling all the bats to me. I got them at a really good price. But they gave me some were 15 R value, and then some were safe and sound. And the safe and sound is just shy of the 3.5-inch, 2x4 studs. So you get a little gap in between each interior wall, so it helps with the sound deadening. So anyway, with those, I put in the 1/2-inch styrofoam in there to make up that gap, because we don't need it for sound, we need it for insulation. And then here, yeah, thumbs up, I was working on the bump out roof, and this is just some 2x4 thickness insulation that I'm putting up there. And then I cut it to the halfway through because I'll be putting lights, a few of them up there, so the wiring is going to be in there. And then it gets a little bit thicker than 2x4 thickness is there, so I'll use R21 2x6 thickness insulation that will fit in that gap. And then we have enough to temporarily cover these walls, but I'll describe why I'm happy that I didn't staple these in and just hand put them up in there for now, just to keep it a little bit warmer than it otherwise would be. So anyway, stay tuned for that breakdown, and hope you enjoy this. Howdy folks, so we got most of the walls finished with rock wool, and then I had a few bags of the fiberglass insulation that I just threw up here. I didn't staple it in, and actually I'm kind of glad, because yesterday I went and bought a ton of insulation. I ended up buying 4 more bags of rock wool. So what I'm going to do is actually take this stuff out and replace it with the rock wool, since I decided to buy some more bags of it just for continuity, or if that's the right word. And then all this is fiberglass. It's 2x6 thickness, so I'll be using it in the ceiling and the floor mainly. That's what I got it for. And so yeah, so I think I have enough to do almost all of the rest of the walls, so there will be a few bats of fiberglass in the walls. But yeah, we'll replace that, and then we'll use that 2x4 just on the, I think I'm going to cut them at like 22-inch pieces or 24-inch pieces to come in, you know, on the shorter or the skinniest parts of the roof, because that's only good for, you know, 2x4 thickness to about there. And then the 2x6 will encase most of this, and then I'm actually going to put a 4-foot piece coming 2 feet on each side of this, stapled to the ceiling at the 2x4 thickness, so it'll finish the gap from that 2x6 thickness leaves. So, you know, just trying to get that cavity as filled as possible. Yeah, we'll start to work on that today, because yeah, it is getting colder in here. Today is not too bad, but I turn my heat off at night and don't want to get out of bed in the morning because it's like 50 degrees in here. So want to change that. All right, yeah, so we're starting with those 4-foot sections I was just talking about. So I just put the vapor barrier facing up towards the ceiling, and then just kind of staple in each side. And I figured out that I needed to entrap some of the fiberglass as well in the staples, or they wouldn't stay up there. You know, at least the fiberglass would start hanging down kind of like that. And then at first I was stapling each one at the same as I was putting up there, but it was just taking forever. So I've decided to go this route where I just kind of throw it up there and then come back with the staple gun after they're all in there, and that seemed to work a little bit better. And you can see that baby's on the bed there kind of, and so I figured once I was getting closer to her, I'll cover her up with this packing blanket on top of my bed, which I had it on my bed to begin with because I didn't want the fiberglass falling on my bed. And then she went up there, and so I hid her under there. She likes to be under the covers anyway, so I didn't want the fiberglass just falling straight on my baby. So that worked out. But then you can see I've come back with the stapler and putting all those up there. And since those were just wide open fiberglass hanging over my bed, I decided to at least put these 2x6 thickness, or R21 bats above my bed, so at least the vapor barrier is hiding all that fiberglass from falling on me on my bed. And I did think that I was going to do all of them like this in the end and then put 2x4 thicknesses on each end, but I decided they ended up fitting in the cavities there on the left and right, where you just have to compress them a little bit, so the R value probably isn't 21, but I do have them all set up there right now, but they're not stapled on the rest of the house because I will be putting electrical up there. But yeah, at the end here, if you're squeamish, I'm going to show you some invasions of stink bugs. Man, this year was so bad at my house, and since everything was kind of open, they just weren't everywhere. And I moved one of my dressers, and this is what's behind them. Look away if you don't like bugs, but they're not so bad like, you know, cockroaches or anything. But man, look how many there were. There were so many in my house. But anyway, thanks for watching. Let's see you next time.